You're looking at a 1976 Sony Trinitron. This is model number KV-1723D, and it's a 17-inch Trinitron TV. You can see it's got some beautiful wood grain. It's got the knobs on the front. It's got a just gorgeous Trinitron logo. This is a really slick machine. It's got both of the antennas on it, one for VHF and one for UHF, and it's just gorgeous. So let's see if we can get this thing working. Okay, so here's one last look at the TV before I open it up and get ready to work on the inside. I'm gonna get in there and replace some capacitors on several of the boards, see if we can get this thing working. All right, so I'm turning the TV on now so we can see what the picture looks like initially. And you can already see it doesn't look good. It's very blue, and it looks like we have some vertical fold across the top. So let's replace some capacitors. So here we go. We're going to move around the side of the TV so you can see what it looks like and how we pulled the shell off. This is pretty difficult. This thing does not come out of the shell very easily because there are legs. If you look down on the bottom, those legs get hung up on the inside. And it would be very easy to break something on the TV taking it apart. So had to be very careful. But here's a look at the inside so we can see all the boards and the yoke of the TV before we start working on anything. See that it's a little dusty and dirty. It's actually not terrible, but still needs to be cleaned up quite a bit. So you can see the boards in here, several boards that we're going to replace some capacitors on and see if we can get the picture quality on this TV to look a lot better than it currently does. So let's start replacing some capacitors. So now I'm going to take one of the old capacitors out. I'm using a wick here to get the solder off of the back of the capacitor so we can replace it. You can see here this one looks a little bulged on the bottom. It's probably failed or is very close to failing. So we'll replace it. This one's a bit smaller, but it's same values. Make sure you put it in the correct orientation. There you go. All right, moving on to the next capacitor. Here's the old one that I pulled out. And again, doesn't look great. Might be some slight bulging there, so it's good to replace this one. So we'll get a new one and pop it in there. Get it soldered on. I won't go through and show you every single capacitor that I replaced, but just showing you a couple of them. This is a good one to see. I'll show you how I replace this one because now you'll be able to see it on both sides as I remove it. So this one's on the neck board. Gonna go ahead and heat it up so I can remove the old capacitor. Wiggle it back and forth as you heat up the solder. Get it pulled out of the circuit board. And there you go. So pull it right out. And here you can see what it looks like. Doesn't look too bad, but it's a good thing to go ahead and replace it anyway. It's old. It's been sitting around for a while. So we're going to put a new one in there. So once you get the new one, you just slide it right on through. There may be some solder in the way, so heat it up, melt it so we can push the legs of the capacitor through there. There we go. And then I just kind of spread out the legs so it'll hold in place as I solder. We don't want it to fall right back out of the hole, so solder it up Make sure everything fills in completely. Then we'll just make sure we snip off these legs. Now we're going to start on this board, and we got several on here we need to get off, so let's see. Let's start with a 1000 microfarad 16 volts. Still using up some of my Radio Shack stock that I have. Not gonna have these much longer. All right, so I've gone through and I've replaced a bunch of capacitors. So let's start putting the TV back together now. Here I am reinstalling the power supply board, making sure I plug everything in as I go. No cables are getting in the way and no connections are getting missed. We don't want to cause more issues by neglecting to hook things up correctly. All right, and reinstalling this other board over here, which actually has part of the metal frame attached to it. So we're gonna have to screw it completely back in on the side over here. Once we get this reinstalled, I think we're gonna be able to turn the TV on and test it out. So I'm pretty excited about it. Hopefully we will not have to take it apart again. Here's the insides one last time before I power it on. Looks like everything is plugged in correctly, which is a good thing. All right, so we've got the TV put back together, at least in terms of the insides. Some capacitors have been replaced. Boards are reinstalled and everything is reconnected, hopefully. Couldn't find anything that was not connected. So we're gonna bet that it's all hooked back up correctly. And I'm going to power it on. And we're gonna keep the camera on the back side to begin with, just in case anything exciting happens. Which, let's hope nothing too exciting happens, except for the TV working. So I'm plugging it in now. All right, and now I'm gonna power it on. Hey, nothing exciting happened, but it did turn on. All right, let me get it turned around and we'll take a look at it from the other side. All right, so TV looks like it still has an issue, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to play around with it and see if we can get that out of it. So here, let's mess with it some. Man, it didn't get any better at all. For all that work, that's unfortunate. All right, I believe I've replaced about enough capacitors. I got some on every board that I've replaced. And last time we turned it on, after I replaced a lot of them, it still had the vertical fold issue. So I went back in and I replaced a few more. And since it was a vertical fold, I focused on the dip in board down here, which as you can see controls the vertical. You see like vertical center, vertical size. So I figured there was something on that board that wasn't quite right, so I went in and replaced a few more there. I did some on the CRT bias board as well, just to hopefully make the color a little bit better, the picture look better. So this is the inside, everything put back together. Down here you can see these are the capacitors that I replaced. 17 of them. Quite a few of them did not look great. They showed some signs of bulging. So I think a lot of those were bad, or getting close to being bad at least. So now let's fire this thing up. I've already taken the cap off, greased it up, put it back on. Now we're gonna fire it up, see what it looks like. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna plug it in and turn it on with the camera at the back for now, just in case something's not soldered quite correct, or something is an issue. If there's any action that happens back here, we'll make sure we get it on camera. Anything starts sparking, anything pops, anything smokes, we got the camera pointed back here. Fingers crossed we won't see that. Hopefully we got everything right. But here we go. I'm gonna power it on and we'll see if it does anything. Powering it on now. All right, I don't see any smoke. Speakers are working. It's looking good. Let's turn this thing around and see if we have a picture. Okay. That doesn't look great. The colors are all split up. We got this funky design on the screen. So let's make some adjustments. Now we can make some adjustments in here. Brightness, color, sharpness, and hue. But that's not gonna fix the problems we're seeing. We're gonna have to go to the back. Now the good thing about these old TVs is that if the picture's not quite right, you can get in here on the inside and there's a lot of knobs that you can turn to make some adjustments. So you see here, you can do blue, red, and green, and then the CRT bias here. You can do focus and screen, which adjusts like how bright the screen will be. You can adjust the vertical center, vertical hold, vertical size, and then you see some horizontals, some pin cushions. There's horizontal center. You also horizontal stat, which helps with convergence, getting the colors to go together. So you can really turn a lot of this stuff to adjust the picture. And so that's what we're gonna have to try to do first, to see if we can get this picture looking better than it currently does. So let's see what we can do by turning some knobs. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get rid of the excess black that's on the top and bottom of the screen. This seems to be a vertical size issue, so I'm going to try to adjust vertical size and see if I can fill up the whole screen here. So turning the vertical size knob. Oh, that looked like it was making it smaller. Seems to only be making it smaller. So let me get it to where it's as large as it can be. This vertical size. And now we're gonna adjust vertical hold. There we go, that looks better. Vertical hold, fix that. Let's see if we can get rid of these on the corner. I think if we adjust the pin amp, there we go. That's taking care of that. Looks like the colors are all spread out, so I'm gonna do the H-stat, which should help bring those together. There we go. Oh, this is looking pretty good. Let's see, we got a little bit black over here. Let's see if we can move it over, do the horizontal center. Did that go over any? I think it did a little bit. Let me turn it a little bit more. Here we go. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. It's kind of blurry though. So I'm gonna adjust the focus. All right, ooh. Ooh. looking mostly good. I'm looking at the camera now, and it looks like you're picking up a lot of, you know, bars going across from the scanning from the CRT. It doesn't look like that in person. But it might be slightly blue. I'm going to adjust the CRT bias. See if we want it to look white. Not that white. A little bit brighter than that. Huh. Alright, that's looking okay. So it looks like it's pretty focused here in the center. And then as you go out to the sides, it gets much more like spread out. We got the whole screen filled in. We got rid of the actual missing piece from the vertical fold that we had earlier before I replaced some more capacitors. So that's awesome. That's really good news. Let's hook up VCR and see what the image actually looks like. I got a VCR hooked up to it. I've got a copy of Teen Wolf on beta. And we're going to pop it in, see what the picture looks like. So, here we go.
What was that?
Alright, so as you can see, I've got Teen Wolf in and it's playing. Picture looks decent. It's pretty dark though. You can see these lines floating across. I think this is just interference with me having the cover off and it being around other things. I think this is just some RF interference. So I'm not going to worry about that. But the color on the picture does not look very good. And so I'm gonna work on that too. And I don't know why these black bars are here. Is this a widescreen copy of Teen Wolf? I doubt it. So I'm gonna make some more adjustments and see if I can get this picture looking better. So let's see what we can do. Do the vertical size again. Oh, there we go. Now vertical size is helping. So let's see. Let's find the top and bottom.
Yeah, well, it's kind of complicated.
That looks pretty good.
Oh, those kind of problems. Yeah.
Much better.
Drugs, girls.
Now it comes down to the color. Let's start by doing the CRT bias. There we go. Oh yeah. Just turning that a little bit. It's brightening it up.
How can I put this?
Colors are looking. That's looking pretty good. It looks like it's a little weird. I'm gonna adjust some of these down here on the bottom, like for color.
Haven't been hanging around the locker room all that much.
No. You see,
We can also
Coach,
do
I
brightness
just don't think
here.
it's gonna be possible for me to play on
Looks
the
like there's a bit of a blue tint to it, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
There we go.
look,
I'm adjusting the
Scotty, I know
hue.
what you're going through. A couple years
Okay.
back, a kid came to me much the same way you're coming to me now, saying to me pretty much the same
Sharpness.
thing you're saying. He wanted to drop off the team.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good.
His mother was.
See if we can make it a little bit brighter back here with CRT bias.
Had this pin in her hip.
Maybe
So he
not
wanted
too
to
bright. We don't
drop
want to blow it
basketball
out.
and get a job. Now these were poor people. These were
Check
these were
that out.
hungry people with real.
I'm pretty sure I'll seal it back up and we'll check it again. I think all this
Coach, I'm a first
dots
grader.
going across, I think that's going to go away. I believe that's interference from other things that are around it right now. With the cover off, and I got these lamps real close and stuff. There's probably just something that's interfering with that signal. We got a little bit of blue coming off on the sides, it looks like. I'm going to adjust the convergence a little bit, the H-stat I should say. See, that makes it worse. You see there, now we just want to try to go back and line those up. It's hard to tell if you're getting them lined up when you've got an image moving like this. I'm adjusting the red, the green, and the blue knobs now.
It's a school.
You see, that's red.
It's a town. It's everything.
I like Beacon Town.
I just like my life to change.
Still feel like it's a
You know,
little
I don't
dark.
wanna end up working for my dad at the hardware
Turn
store.
up the brightness a little bit more.
Oof, look at me. Now try and be objective.
All right.
Am I all right? I mean, is there anything wrong with me?
I think that looks pretty good.
You should probably shower after basketball.
I do.
Tape had a little glitch there. I think that's looking pretty good. We saw in the snow where it was focused in the center, but as it went out to the sides, it got blurry. I'm not seeing that too bad on the image with the movie going. It's not distracting at all. For a TV this old, I think this is a nice picture. All right, I'm satisfied. Let's get it sealed up, and then we'll check it out again with it all put back together and looking just beautiful.
Don't tell me I lose my count.
All right, so I've got a pillow here because I'm gonna lay the TV down on the pillow so I can put the shell on the back of it, because it's really hard to put the shell or the cover back on this TV. But before I do that, I'm gonna remove these knobs. We don't want those to get broken. So just kind of twist those off. Maybe. There we go. Pop those off, move them out of the way. Now I'm gonna lay the TV on top of the pillow. We don't want to damage the screen. There we go. Try not to break anything. All right. Remove the power cable. Let me grab the shell and we'll lower it down on top. All right, got the shell here, and I'm gonna slide it right down over the top. We gotta make sure that the power cable actually plugs in appropriately. Okay. Carefully make sure it is on. All right, feels like the power cable went on good. We got the knob for the vertical hold coming through. Now we can start putting some screws in. Feels like it's seated all the way down on there now. Let's pop some of the screws in. If we get this thing turned on and we still have some issues with the screen, we can still reach a lot of the controls through here, not all of them. So like focus and screen are gone now. A lot of these for the pen and the horizontal controls, those are all covered. But anything dealing with the color, vertical hold, vertical size, we can get to. And then of course we have the options on the front for brightness and color and hue and sharpness. All right, I think it's good. Time to flip it back up. All right, pop the knobs back on. All right, there we go. So as you can see, I've got Teen Wolf back in. It's playing now, and the picture looks really good for a close to 50-year-old TV. I'm surprised this thing came around and looks as good as it does. The color's pretty good. The brightness is good. I think the picture for the most part looks good, and I'm extremely happy with it. Yeah, so I hope it's coming across good on camera, because it does look really good here in person. Sometimes camera picks up artifacts that aren't actually there, so it may look a little bit different, but I can assure you it looks really good in person. I'm very satisfied with how this TV came out. So there you have it. Sony Trinitron KV-1723D, now in complete working order and looking amazing. Thanks for watching.